Healthy Hairstylist. And I kind of named myself that just throughout my whole journey towards every aspect of health, spiritual, physical, emotional, and mental. And spiritual health been the most important component of the whole continuum, just because it wasn't until I made the choice to truly get my spiritual health in order and just really seeking the Most High and praying. A lot was going on in my life, just, in a bad marriage and kind of stuck in a rut in just different relationships and trying to find myself. And even, looking back, understanding that the choice to get married was just kind of almost running away from myself, because I was just not happy in life. So I figured maybe if I did something different, maybe I wasn't fulfilled, because maybe I need to be married, just do something different. And, kind of seeing signs going in, but went along anyway. And it was through that whole process of really seeking to find joy that I kind of hit rock bottom. And just all praises to the Most High, because it was in that, I remember in particular, where it got really low, in a bad marriage. My relationship with my family was strained, and I just felt really alone. And I remember kind of been in the shower and just was crying, and I literally in that moment said that I don't have anybody. And I was, in my life, I was so used to being surrounded with family, and I just had like a big family and a big support group. So it felt weird to feel estranged from my family. I have a big family of 5 sisters and 2 brothers, and we were always, really close. So to be estranged from them, and then to be in a marriage where I was still felt alone, it was that at that moment that I said, y'all, all I have is you. Like, I don't have anybody. And that kind of started my journey to really seek him first. And as the Bible says, seek first his kingdom and righteousness, and everything else will be added. And that truly is what happened in my life. So just through that journey of first seeking him, and just really starting to let go of things, I could see his hand on my life. I could really see him starting to guide me and direct me. One of the really big moments in my life was in 2016, when I stopped drinking. And I used to drink a lot of alcohol. Wine. Actually, wine. It was, in my younger years, I did do mixed drinks. And, you go out, you socialize, you drink like that. But as I got older, I just really switched over to drinking red wine and really found a love for it. It became a crutch for me, but I just thought it was something that kind of calmed me, and I know I would turn to it. And it got to the point where I started to look forward to it. But on the backside of drinking, I always would just feel, really depleted, dehydrated, kind of dried out, and unfulfilled. And I had said many times before over the years that I'm not drinking anymore. And I would take little short sabbaticals, 2 weeks here, a month there, almost to prove to myself that I could. But I remember it was a time when my nephew was undergoing a procedure, and I remember I stopped drinking for that time, and I was going to drink, and I remember hearing the voice of the Most High tell me, don't drink right now, because I was getting ready to drink, and it was just like I heard it very clear, like, don't drink, you have to be sober-minded, because I was in prayer at that time. And I remember I put it down, and I did not drink probably at that time, and maybe for like a month or more. And my clarity was there, even my prayers were more clear, and I just felt I felt more whole when I wasn't drinking. But it's like when the stresses of life or something came up, I would lean on that drink, because I was like, well, this is gonna relax me, I can look forward to this, and kind of got back into that drinking rut. And in 2016 is when I took my very last drink, and I was driving, and I had my brother's birthday. I was celebrating my brother's birthday, and I left there, and I remember driving, and I'd had a drink at the party. And this is in a time when in my spirit I kind of knew I needed to stop. So then because I sensed that I was really going to have to stop soon, because that's what was, the Most High was showing me. I didn't want to face it, so I would just kind of go in a little harder, like, okay, well, when it's time to stop, I'll stop. But for now, I'm just going to have another drink. And I remember driving home, and I was tired, and so I had the window down so I could feel the air. It was in June of 2016. And I remember driving, and I was listening to, there was a song. I was trying to listen to some music to keep myself up. So I remember on a playlist on my phone, I had this workout playlist, and it was Miley Cyrus, I think Jay's, it was some song that she did with a rapper, and it was upbeat, so I figured I'd listen to that to get myself home because I was tired and I'd had a drink. And I remember pulling up to a light and my radio went out, so I was just like, what's going on? So I'm kind of doodling around with it, couldn't figure it out. The light changed, so I started driving again. And so the song, I forget what's his name? I forget his name, but the song goes, you thought I was worth saving. And that song is what picked back up on my playlist that I was playing, which I did not have on my playlist. It was on my phone, but it wasn't on my playlist. So the phone went out, and when it came back up, that's what song came back on. And I just remember instantly feeling like, okay, now this is it. This is it. No more drinks. And I remember, I just kind of played it on, and got home, and I pulled in my driveway, and I could hear the Holy Spirit saying, that was it. That was it. Like pretty much your grace on drinking and driving and kind of, you have a drink and you think you're okay to drive. Well, however I was moving with that alcohol where I knew it was time for me to stop, I heard the Holy Spirit, that was it. So for me, I understood that beyond that, if I chose to continue drinking, now I was no longer covered. The grace was gone. So, whatever came from that came from that. And that was the last drink I've taken. That journey from stop drinking wine, because again, that was like that was my crutch. That was my go-to. That was my stress reliever. So when I stopped that, a lot of stuff really started unfolding, and I just felt like the Most High was showing me things that I was running from. I was starting to have to face them, and it was a tough time. It was a dark time. But what I will say, even in the marriage I was in, it was starting to become very clear that we were not equally yoked. Like we were just really, it was really a bad marriage on every level. And I just remember starting to see all that clearly. There was no more dumbing down the obvious. Now everything was in my face. So I felt like all the years I was drinking and running away from this stuff, and it wasn't like I was getting drunk every night. It was like a glass of wine or two, or it was just wine. I thought it was the very ladylike, classy way of calming yourself down and just have yourself a glass of wine, and but it was way more than that, and I did not have a handle on it, although I was functional while doing it, and so all the things that I was running from, I had to face, and it was kind of ugly, and it was hard. I would pray and say, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. My life, it was just, everything was just looking very bleak. But anyway, I did make it through by the grace and the goodness of the Most High. I made it through, and it just started this whole journey of me seeking just to be whole, and just in Him, just in our Heavenly Father, just being whole in Him. And so that was in 2016 over to 17. By the end of 2017, like I'd say the beginning of fourth quarter 20, so yeah, like September, October of 2017, it was very clear the marriage was over and we were separating. And I remember the home I was in, I was thinking I would lose the home. I remember staying with my younger sister for a time before I got my apartment. And the funny thing is that I was 44, 43, and I had never been on my own. Was always surrounded by people. So this was going to be like a full-on start over for me, a complete start over. And so I went and got an apartment. And so in the interim between, I went and applied for the apartment. It was September of 2017, but the move-in date wasn't until January 2018. And so I remember staying with my younger sister, and we were kind of on the same journey, just to being whole and really seeking the Most High's face in our life. So we were kind of different situation in life, but we were kind of on the same path, and very much on the same path. So it was very comforting to be in her home, because it was very peaceful. Like I felt like I was getting ready to completely lose everything and have to start completely over. But even in all of that, it was one of the most peaceful times of my life, because I had no choice but to surrender everything to the Most High, because I was just at the end of myself, and there was nothing left for me to do. I had to give it all over to Him. And so just, with my 44-year-old self living up in the guest room with my baby sister, was one of the most peaceful times that I had ever experienced in my life. So anyway, fast forward, waiting for the move-in date in January. Now, mind you, I told you I'd never been on my own, just always lived with somebody or somebody's. And I was cool with that, because I was just brought up in a big family. So not being around people just was foreign to me. And I never cooked. It was like a running joke. Like, me trying to cook was a running joke, right? So I would always order out, or, for a time when my mom was, when I was, living with my mom, she would cook, or my sisters would cook, or however, or I do something quick package, like oodles and noodles. I mean, you just, quick, already pre-prepared processed foods, right? But I could not cook. And even like when I was married, my ex, he would cook. So I just didn't cook. Didn't know how, didn't have an interest to, right? But I always, I'm a runner, and I've been running for over, since I was 21. So if you do the math, like over 20 years. And so physically I was never overweight. But as I kind of got to my mid to late 30s, health markers, like kind of my blood pressure going up slightly, because my diet was not great. But, and I was conscious to the degree that I would try to not eat foods that were fried or things like that. But pretty much eating a very processed standard American diet without so much of the junk, just like a healthier version of the standard American diet, if you will. So heavy on meat and all of that, And so I had a dream in December of 2017. So this is like a month before I moved into my apartment. I was about to really be on my own. And in the dream, the Most High was showing me what my life was going to look like moving forward. And He showed me that I was doing a cooking video for YouTube. And I was, kind of doing this video showing people what it would look like to start, if you're starting out or you're starting over. And my journey was kind of like both. I was starting out and over at the same time. And I remember the dream, because I wrote it down, I did journal it. And I remember asking, like, how this is impossible, because I don't cook. I never have cooked. I don't know how to cook. I don't know where to start. And He told me in the dream, don't worry about, this is basically, if I were to be obedient and follow Him, He would take care of all of that. So that was 2017. So journey continued to wholeness, got divorced, moved to my place, found a whole new space of peace. And spiritually, I felt well. I felt like I was in a good place, because I felt like I was truly making that a priority, and always just rechecking myself and praying and asking Father that if I'm in any way out of line, please just remove things in my life that aren't in your will for me, because that is my life's goal, is to really honor you and to be within your will. So spiritually, I felt like I was kind of doing that, and professionally even. I'm trying to be on top of my business and those things. And physically, I thought I was okay, because I was running, and I'm kind of maintaining my weight well and everything like that. But it just started to, within the last year or so, I'd say, my weight was slowly starting to creep up. I was starting to feel really tired more. And then I was noticing like my blood pressure was going up. And it was all kind of like a slow tick upward, right? The weight, couple pounds, and then, you level off, and then a couple pounds. And so by August of last year, I remember, I was kind of, I weighed myself periodically, and I would start to weigh myself more because I was like, the scale is going up for some reason, and I haven't really changed anything. And by August, I remember I had picked up from the beginning of the year like a good 7-8 pounds, and I was just kind of like, and I just wasn't feeling as well. And so my birthday is in August, and I remember thinking to myself like, wow, I'm getting really close to 50, and maybe this is just part of the getting older process. And when I really looked at it, I was like, no, it's not, because you're really not doing the best you can nutritionally. You're doing okay, and some people may think you're doing well, but you're really, really not. If I really would take stock, I was eating a lot of processed foods, and I still was eating out a good amount. So I remember my birthday fell on a Monday, and so that weekend before, I remember just saying, okay, I'm going to eat all I'm going to eat. I'm going to enjoy this weekend. And then starting Monday, I'm cutting out all meat. I'm cutting out all dairy. I had actually watched the documentary, What the Health and Game Changers. Okay, so if anybody's seen those, you already know, like, they make you kind of rethink everything. So I remember, I watched those, and then that weekend I did everything. And then I have my oldest sister has been vegan for, gosh, I want to say like 10 years. Maybe more or less, but right around, that 10-year mark. And so I talked to her, and I told her, I said, I really want to just go fully, plant-based. And my goal was not to just switch to vegan, but I wanted to be like whole food plant-based, you know what I mean? Like cooking my foods, cooking whole food, shopping and not getting boxed pre-prepped stuff, but really cooking whole foods, like going to the produce section, getting vegetables, getting whole grain rice, things like that, where, brown rice, but anyway, stuff like that, where I was cooking like from whole food, from scratch, and this was totally foreign to me. But here we are now, we're in February, so I started in August, and since that time, I am now completely, and I have been since August 21st of 22, completely plant-based. The first, I'd say, month was kind of rocky because I just didn't know what to do, and I was buying some of the plant-based meats, like your what were they called? It was like little chiclets and stuff like that, and I started with that. And then I just started doing more research. Dr. Neil Barnard and the Physicians Committee, I watched a lot of their podcasts, and a lot of the big heavy hitters in the plant-based game. I just watched a lot of the stuff. Dr. Milton Mills, Columbus Baptiste, he's a cardiologist. And Milton Mills is also a doctor. So it's a lot of different ones that I listen to, different podcasts, different YouTube channels that I watch. I just really start taking a lot of it in, and just learn so much, and I could just really feel that passion to really just do better for my body. And I dropped like 20 pounds with doing nothing, changing, just cutting out the food, and I really just got more regular. My energy went up, my blood pressure went way down, like my blood pressure numbers are just amazing. Little pains I was starting to have, like on the soles of my feet when I woke, when I would wake up and step down, I would feel like a pain on the bottom of my feet gone. So different things, I really noticed the difference. But even more than that, just my clarity, my mind, all of that just got just so much better. And so my younger sister, she, I'm so proud of her because she started a YouTube channel with my niece, and she was such an inspiration for me because she always used to kind of fall back and be in the background, but she's so powerful, and she's such a force to be reckoned with, and it's just amazing to see her blossom the way she did magnificently. And so when she started her channel, maybe a month ago, I remember thinking like, wow, I had a dream about starting a YouTube channel. So I prayed on it, and I asked the Most High, if this is something that you have for me to do, and I sat on it, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for sitting on something you had for me. But I feel like now I've started to feel that desire to do it, because I was like, actually, I feel like now I could really show people what it looks like to start over. From zero, from nothing. Like seriously, nothing. I scratch. And even now I'm like, I say, like, I can't really cook, but my food is good. I can't really cook, but my baby sister likes my food, so I make her dishes and things like that. So anyway, I asked her to really mentor me and just kind of doing the thing that I'm uncomfortable with, which is being on camera, social media, all of that stuff. Really shy to it, and so she's been kind of pushing me along and saying, go on, you can do it, and kind of giving me homework even. So anyway, this is just my introduction to my channel. It's not really it's just going to be simply little things I picked up along the way. I'm going to kind of prepare some meals that I've done that are really, really easy to do, because I promise you, if I can do it, a 5-year-old can do it, and probably even better. But it has changed my life, and so if I can in any way help one person, sees this channel, is like, oh wow, I know what that feels like, then it will be all worth it. So anyway, that's why I call myself the healthy hairstylist, and maybe here and there I can share some of my other health tips that I do. But again, I'm a runner, I am a small business owner, and but most importantly, I'm a daughter of the Most High, and I don't want anything that He has put in me that He would want me to share to not be shared. So that is the goal of this channel, and so I look forward to seeing you guys again, and I hope you enjoyed this video.